Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It seems like for ages, but it's really just been a week, hasn't it? A week in between. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves and that they got some of the sun. On Monday and Tuesday, we were a wee bit all right on Sunday. So hopefully he's got a wee bit. Me and Edward were saying there that it's starting to rain here in Derry. So I don't know, don't know what's happening with the weather now. But you are very welcome back. This is our final session with Edward. And we're going to be talking about values and our worth, and I suppose how that then links into conquering imposter syndrome and increasing our confidence overall, really. So I know we have less people on today, and that's just so some people are off on holidays still and things like that. So this is recorded. So let your friends or colleagues know that it's going to be recorded and that I'll send it out anyway. And if you have to drop off or anything, no worries, because I'll be sending out the recording as well. So we'll keep it the same as usual. If you have any questions, please fire them out as we go throughout or write them into the chat box. But other than that, I'm going to pass you over to our star of the show, Edward.
Goodness. I don't know about star of the show, but we're all stars in everything we do. But folks, listen, yeah, I hope you've had a lovely couple of days. I'm slightly relieved that this is today and not Monday. It was 39.6 degrees in this shed on Monday, so there was very little work done. So as I say, I'm slightly relieved that it's not just so warm today. So listen, thank you, I say, for coming back to this final session today in this conquering imposter syndrome. I hope over the last number of weeks we've been able to guide you, not just in opening your mind to what imposter syndrome is, giving you something to relate to, something to resonate with you. But importantly, again, now you've got a good understanding of these things as to what they are. As I said to you at the start, my role in life is not to tell everybody what they need to do. My role in life isn't to tell people what you must do or what you should do. Hopefully the program has been about giving you that little bit of impotence, that little bit of passion to go, do you know what, I want to learn more about this. So in some way, just nourishing you to start that journey of learning for yourself in this area of imposter syndrome. And indeed, as you've probably got from me over the last number of weeks, a great deal of imposter syndrome comes into our system. It comes into our psyche when our confidence is low. And indeed, as I've said to you week on week, a big part of supporting yourself when you find that imposter syndrome has managed to eke its way into your psyche is to look at your confidence, building your confidence, understanding yourself. Today, we're going to look at this, understanding your purpose, finding your worth, working to your values. Why are those three things important for me? Well, they're important for a number of reasons, but primarily, again, when you understand what your purpose in life is, and it's a big question. These are questions that people, of great academia, great societal knowledge, great politicians in the world, if you can say that, but there has been a few over the millennial. But people with great knowledge have struggled with this question in life too. What is your purpose? Discovering your purpose in life. Some of us find it early on. Some of us usually find it whenever we hit a crisis, when we hit a need to change in life, and we start to really dive under ourselves, like scratch away at our skin to go, well, what am I? Who am I? What is my purpose in life? And once we get that, then what happens to it in life is we no longer become an imposter. We no longer become an imposter in ourselves. Why? Because we know who we are. We know what our purpose is. We know what our worth is. And importantly, we're getting up each day and living to our values. That might mean for some people saying no. Okay, and we looked at that in week 2. That incredibly, Shauna, that incredibly difficult process that we all go through is knowing when to say no to people. A lot of us get imposter syndrome when we constantly say yes. We looked at that in week 1 and 2, the different types. But this thing of once you understand your purpose and you get up each day and work to your purpose, imposter syndrome becomes very difficult to find its way in. And for me, it's one of the major contributors to why our confidence is low. Like, we all work 9 to 5, or some of us even more. That slog, doing what we can, paying the bills, the good old Irish term of grafting. We get up every day and we graft. We agonize. We wish we were somewhere else. We numb the pain with things. And you can see when we don't know our purpose, when we're not living towards our purpose, we become an imposter. We become an imposter in ourselves. 91% of all people living in the United Kingdom and Ireland today do not know why they get up to go to work each day. 91%, 9 in 10 people, other than to pay the bills, to earn money. This question of what is my purpose? It's a question as old as time. What is my purpose in life? As far back as the 4th century, I think of his work here, Aristotle was the first person who pondered life's purpose. And he developed his theory of teleology, or the other idea that everything in life has to have a purpose. And in today's fast-paced society, I suppose, technology-filled world, where we're being pulled about in many different directions at once, finding a purpose, I like to find it finding your stride in life seems more important than ever. Many people spend their lives reacting to situations instead of being proactive. Okay, many businesses we work in, many organizations we work in, how many of us can say that we work in an organization that's reactive, not proactive? And indeed, one of the ways in which we help eliminate imposter syndrome is to be prepared, not to react, to be proactive and figure out your purpose, your needs, and your values, your worth, and then drive towards them. And even when you think, you know what your purpose is, sometimes people can often mistake their purpose for short-term goals. Shannon and I talked about this, I think, off the record many months ago, about a lot of people sometimes think that they've identified their purpose and can commonly mistake that for short-term goals. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well, because what happens then when we achieve the short-term goal, then we're left void, we're left vacant, because we no longer feel like we've got a purpose. And many other people who ask themselves this question truly want to find meaning, but they have no idea how to find purpose in life. And I guess that's probably most of us. I hold my hands up. At the age of 28, I had a breakdown because I was doing things in life and going down a particular way, which I didn't feel was serving my values, was serving my worth, serving my purpose in life. But I still didn't know what my purpose in life was. I just had reached that first question of, I knew that my confidence had become so low and imposter syndrome had managed to make its way deep into my psyche, was because I knew that there had to be more meaning to what I was trying to do in life. I still didn't know what my purpose was, but that was the first step in realizing that bigger journey of life. And what we're all scrambling to do, folks, is that we're all trying to discover our purpose. Some of us might change and realign our thoughts. Some people might just click with this quite quickly. How do we start that search for purpose? Really, what we're trying to do is change, realign our thoughts, which in turn changes and realigns our actions. Our thoughts and our actions all become part of our purpose. Why are we searching for purpose? It's a good question before we start going on this little journey today together. Why are we searching for purpose? Anybody want to tell me? I'm happy enough anybody wants to jump in. If we're thinking about why we need purpose in life, why do we do it? Why do we search for purpose? What might it do for some of us? See, somebody's put something in the chat there. Let's see. Yeah, good one. That's a nice one. Catherine, because we're existential beings. Yeah, good. For me, there's 4 main reasons, folks. If nobody wants to jump in, but that's a good one. Firstly, it's simple. It makes life purposeful. Okay, when we've got a purpose, anxiety, depression, all of the things around our mental health and well-being start to dissipate, start to become more into the background, because each day we're not worried about the brain. We're not working so much with the this little piece above our head, above our shoulders, that can be good one day and not so good the next. Indeed, when we're working to our purpose, it makes life more purposeful. There's a deeper meaning to life. Some of us might say we connect. It's great. We walk around. I walk around loads of organizations, and I love this thing. People now talk about connecting and resonating. You go back 15 years and you talked about that in an organization, people might have got a telephone number for somebody in a straitjacket to come and lock you up, because it was like, what are you talking about? But we're now at a deeper understanding. So it makes life purposeful. It gives us meaning and direction. Get back to that bit, existential beings. We crave meaning. We crave direction in life. People who are directionless, have no meaning in life, often struggle. That's where imposter syndrome really, really kicks in. Indeed, for me, most of us want to understand ourselves at a deeper level. Again, we fast forward 15 years when I use that thing of resonation with people. Resonation means understanding that energy, understanding that soul or mindful purpose, and that higher energy, lower energy, whatever you want to use. All of us will have different, maybe religious connotations, but indeed that's part of why we do it. And finally, we do it because we want to challenge ourselves. Okay, we want to challenge ourselves. We often think that we've got a certain set of skills, we've done a job particularly well, we've been a good mother, a good father, a good parent, good in our work, but we often feel a little bit void. And when we feel that voidness, that's where imposter syndrome really, really comes in. So searching for your purpose in life's good because it forces us to actually challenge yourself, challenge what you've done to date, and challenge your belief. So when we talk about searching for a purpose, this picture, I think, probably antipathies why, when we think about it, we look into the yonder. Again, a good old Irish word, yonder. We look into the yonder to see just exactly where life is going to nearly come and meet us. Purpose is going to come and meet us in a position of calm. No Kesh on there today as well, and some of the stuff Kesh has sent me. We talk about this quietness, this stillness, and in some way we hope that then that purpose will come and meet us. So this, when we talk about searching for a purpose, a lot of us think about quiet, stillness, reflection, thinking about where our journey is taking us and where it might go. And all those things, folks, I'm going to be honest, all help with imposter syndrome. That's self-reflection. We talked about that in week 2. Very, very important. A great quote that I always love is, if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're dying. Which is why growth is addictive. To many of us, we naturally only feel fulfilled when we're improving ourselves and our lives, or even the people's lives around us in some way. Everything in life is calling to us to grow. And when we stop growing, we start feeling pain. We start feeling fear, anxiety. And anxiety then allows that door opening. It's that invitation for imposter syndrome to come in. We are susceptible to things like envy. We look around and we see what everyone else has and what we don't. And instead of asking, what is my purpose in life, we start coveting status, like material goods, power, money in the bank account, nice cars, all of those things. But all of those things will ultimately leave you feeling empty. I want you just to think about that today. For me, one of the big things where imposter syndrome comes in is where there's the void, where there's the emptiness to purpose. Goals like buying a house or opening a business yield a sense of achievement for me, folks, and are essential to living the life you desire. Me, purpose takes those goals that you might have to an even higher level, might take it to a higher level. So if you're asking yourself, what is my purpose and why do we seek it out? What you're really asking for is progress, a true sense of fulfillment. And as I said, your fulfillment isn't a luxury or a leisure activity, it's a necessity. Okay, imposter syndrome thrives when we move off this road, this journey of growth, of working towards a purpose, a higher meaning in life, whatever you want to call it. When we move off that journey, that's where imposter syndrome can really have a big opportunity in order to come in. There's always a couple of things though too, and why I'm trying to help you with this is finding your purpose is very difficult. Okay. And there's things that prevent us from finding our purpose. You might think that there are many things that prevent people from finding their true purpose. They're comfortable where they are. They don't want to rock the boat. Okay, so the first thing that stops us from finding our purpose. Remember, go back to that energy source, and I told you the difference between contentment and fulfillment is just a very slight change in the psyche of the brain. Okay. One of the big things that stops us from finding our purpose in life is when we get comfortable. We don't want to rock the boat. You've got money, you've got family, you've got house, you've got good jobs. And what you're doing is you're fooling yourself into thinking you're fulfilled. Or maybe you just don't have the time. Finding that journey of purpose takes a lot of time. It takes time out of your day, it takes time out of your family. The truth is that there's only two things that prevent you from answering this question. One is certainty. Okay? Certainty. The need for stability and predictability is one of our deepest human needs. You might smile and laugh, but it is. The need for stability and predictability is one of our deepest human needs. Routine helps us conserve mental energy. And staying in our comfort zones can keep us from feeling anxious, getting hurt, both emotionally and physically, but it also prevents growth. It keeps us in unfulfilling jobs, unhealthy relationships, prevents us from finding our true purpose. The second reason, of course, is limiting beliefs. Okay. Limiting beliefs. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we are, can either hold us back or propel us forward to true fulfillment. And limiting beliefs that we're not good enough. We don't deserve to be happy. All lead to what I call limiting behaviors, like fear of failure and self-sabotage. Again, look at the imposter syndrome. Look at how it resonates. Limiting beliefs helps cultivate, helps fertilize the soil for imposter syndrome to grow. Believing that we have no limitations in life gives us the confidence to find our purpose. Don't know about anybody follows Tony Robbins, the life coach, but Tony Robbins had a great quote. We can change our lives when we can do, have, and exactly what we wish. Believe that and purpose will follow. Now, listen, I'm a realist, folks. I'm like yourselves. I've got families, I've got debt, I've got a mortgage. It's great if you've got millions of pounds that you can come off with nice big things about. You can do exactly what you want in life. You just got to wish. I'm a little bit more realistic in that it means each day you got to get up and work towards that. You got to spend some time on the things that you dream about. Okay, if we all had the money and the free time, I could just go, Ed, here's what I want to do, and off I go and do it. But all of us we all live in the real world. We can't sit and daydream and be blue sky thinkers without no action. Okay, and what I say to people is, great quotation about limiting beliefs, but we do grow up from our schooling. We're taught very solid lines between success and failure. Between success and failure. And that's the start of the journey of limiting beliefs. The creativity, the wonderness, the ability to be, when you ask kids, what are you going to be? What are you going to be when you grow up? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a pilot. I want to be this. I want to be that. All big wishes, big dreams. And by the time we get out of university, most of us just want to get a job to start paying back our student loan. Some people still hold on to that wish in that direction, but the vast majority of us leave university or college, school, and we just want to get a job and start earning money. And those limiting beliefs are cultural in our dynamic. They've come through generations. So we have to challenge those limiting beliefs. We do have to work in the world of anything is possible. We've got to be open to receive opportunities in life. I'm just going to bring this little piece up here for you. Why do we do? What is the benefits then of knowing our purpose? Firstly, for me, it gives you that journey of building towards unshakable confidence. Okay, and that doesn't mean you don't get nervous. Of course you do. Nervousness and unshakable confidence go hand in glove. Um, Nervousness is a nice little, I like to call it, it's a nice little opportunity to realize you're still alive. Okay. Nervousness makes everything feel real, brings your emotions and everything to the fore. But unshakable confidence is when you know who you are. Doesn't matter what you say or what you do or how you go about doing things, you know who you are, and no amount of words from people, emotions, nervousness can break that down. It does not mean from time to time you get hit with the waves of life. We're all working people, I'm sure, but you have to face the adversity. But you'd face adversity with confidence that you are who you are, and that all there ever was and all there ever will be is just you. That's that part of searching for your purpose. Research shows that finding your purpose is linked to living longer. So that's why it's important. I often tell the story about I watched three grandparents, and I'm sure this story will resonate with a lot of us today. I watched three really hard working class grandparents. I grew up in a mill community in Hilden and Lisburn. And O'Kesh doesn't live too far away from it. Both grandfathers were mill workers, and grandmother was worked in the flex, so she helped with a thread coming into the mill. Both, when they got all three within the age of retirement at 65, all three had died by the age of 67. All three grandparents. The grandmother got 2 years after retirement. And it was amazing because no illness, no problems all of their life. Working people had a purpose. Once they retired, no longer had a purpose in life. And within a couple of years of losing their purpose, i.e. their job was their purpose. All three two had died of cancer and one died of dementia within 2 years. And what I always say to people is purpose is much more than just direction. Purpose is actually a longevity to life. It's the reason why the brain and the body synchronize and get up and have something to do each day. There is this relationship between mortality and finding your purpose. That research that was done by the French government found that participants who did not have a strong sense of meaning in their lives were more than twice likely to die prematurely. It also reduced the incidence of heart attack and stroke. So again, I'm not wanting to be morbid about it, but actually finding your purpose does have something more beneficial than just direction and confidence. It also helps you potentially live longer as well. So how do we start this? Because Ed, that's great. Okay, we've only got a short time today, I know that. But if you're going to tell me, I'm going to go on this journey of finding myself, and some people have, fantastic, blessed to know that you're on that journey, and I'm really passionate and focused for you doing that. But for some people, it is a big step in a direction to go, well, what is my purpose? How do I start that journey, Ed? If I'm going to come off this today and start, what does it look like? The first thing I always say to people is go back that little diagram. And this is why when we talk about finding our purpose, all of us often think about the person sitting on a bench looking out to the sea or looking out to a lake or a stillness. And why that, I suppose, resonates with me is the first step of trying to understand your purpose in life is to search inward. And search inward can be very hard when we've got these things going and that going and family life and work and everything around us. So we generally have that quiet time. And questions that we ask ourselves is, what is my purpose in life? Maybe how can I be happy? Are those things actually the same? And do they have the same answer? You can never really truly understand how to find your purpose by listening to others' opinions. seeking outside approval. Think again how this resonates with the imposter syndrome. Everything you need is within yourself. If anybody plays cards, you've already got the deck, you've already got the cards in your hand that you need to play this game of life. The only thing holding you back is your own limiting belief. And what I say to people about searching inward is to look at the limiting beliefs that you hold. Okay. Is it because of my family circumstances? Is it because of my financial circumstances? Is it because I didn't get the same opportunities as kids that lived 2 estates over from me when I was growing up? Is it because I grew up with no parents? Some people do. I worked with kids in care for many, many years. I always used to say to them, challenge that limiting belief. Just because you didn't have a mother and a father to grow up with, you had people who were playing the role of mother and father. Try and identify those limiting beliefs, replace them with an empowering belief. Develop greater self-awareness. And again, when we looked at that emotional stuff last week, really important, because searching inward is to look at the emotions that are controlling your life. Okay. I'm not going to ask you to do a whole lot of things, because searching inward can be a difficult task, but doing those 2 things are really, really important for me. Look at the limiting beliefs you have. I had them all. I was working in a high-end job at Stormont advising politicians. Yet I was still the wee working class lad, where most of my mates who I grew up with ended up in prison. Some didn't manage to make it to adult life because they took drugs when they were younger and fortunately lost their lives. I grew up with those limiting beliefs going, who am I, a wee working class lad, to be advising people who are above me? There were some of the things that were holding me back in life. That was your identity. It's where you grew up in, your environment was a great limiting belief in me. Anxiety was holding me back. Imposter syndrome was holding me back, because from anxiety came imposter syndrome. So we use that little time, that search inward, to look at the negative or belief system that you have, or you've grown up with, or has come from indeed grandparents. It tends to, unfortunately, generations before us all had limiting belief systems. And then look at the emotions that are holding you back. Is it low mood? Is it depression? Is it anxiety? We'll all know here today what it is. Because those 2 things will ultimately prevent you from working towards your true purpose. The next thing we got to do is purpose before goals. If you only focus on achieving short-term goals, you'll never find your true passion or learn how to find your purpose. And listen, goals are good. Short, medium, long-term goals. We, in our businesses or organizations or groups and within ourselves, they're great to have to keep the brain focused, to keep ourselves focused. Loads of different things I'm not going into, but we all know why we have goals. The goals you have, though, should be working towards always finding your purpose. Okay. If they're not, if they're not, you'll only feel a fleeting sense of accomplishment. Okay, it leaves a void, and you'll soon be seeking something more. I used to refer to it as the poliment with the hole in it. Okay, when I always used to try in my early days when I was trying to explain to people how I felt, I always used to say to myself, it was like the mint with the hole in it. And anybody ever remember whenever the Poland Mint brought out the wee small boxes of the wee small centers, when they actually worked out that they could, instead of leaving the hole in the middle, they could actually sell people the centers too. And I used to say short-term, mid-term goals always felt like me. I always felt like I was the Poland Mint with the little hole missing. And my purpose actually in life was whenever I managed to get those 2 things together. So think of some of those analogies. And when you set a goal, ask yourself, how will this help me feel more fulfilled? Okay. I'm not saying stop goals and not to do goals anymore. Of course, they're important, but think about each goal that you do and how can you relate that back to making yourself more fulfilled? If your purpose in life is to be the best parent you can be, okay, Is all of the goals, everything that you're trying to achieve, coming back to make you fulfilled around your family? Okay, if it's to be the best business person in the world, and again, I can't tell anybody what their purpose is here today. Um, is all of your goals coming back to that? My goal in life is to be as best of knowledge transfer to help people on their journey of learning. So all of my goals have to be aligned to, empowering me, helping me understand people, reach out and work with people at all different levels of life so that I can keep learning and then pass that knowledge on that I learned from other people, the people who have yet to come across that knowledge and information. It's called it's like a link pin or a lynch pin. Anybody in a farming community knows without a lynch pin on the back of the tractor takes off, the harvester's still left sitting in the field. It needs something, a lynch pin, in order to make those two things pull together. So think about your purpose with your goals. Importantly for me, focus on what you have. Okay. Goes back to what we looked at last week with the power emotions. And this is how all of this stuff for me all links. I think I'm a little bit mad sometimes, but it does all come together, all of this learning. Because developing an abundance mindset is like opening your eyes to life. You'll see beauty, you'll see goodness all around you. And with this new perspective, your purpose in life becomes much clearer. Okay. When you see what you've got, your focus in life becomes much clearer. A lot of us focus on a house and a new car and this and that and all the materialism all that we get swept into in the world of life, because that's just the way things are. And we've got kids who want the next iPhone and the next computer and everything else. But then we don't actually see what we do have, what we're grateful for. And once you do that, for me, folks, your purpose in life becomes much clearer. If you ask me, but Ed, I can't find my purpose or it's very difficult, one of the ways I say to people is to start looking and focusing on what you have. Okay. You question less and less about how to find your purpose because you feel like you have more of the answers and that you're on a path to achieving, again, some meaningful goals. And when we focus on what we have, fear disappears, abundance appears. You'll start living life away from fear. Maybe you're wasting your life or wasting time living in fear. And once you come out of living in fear, you start to begin to attract positivity. So finding your purpose becomes an exciting journey rather than a stressful goal. Okay. Take ownership of your life is really, really important. Listen, true fulfillment comes from designing your own life. Again, it maybe comes back to that little bit of abundance, looking at what you do have, that mindset. But also importantly, for me, when we start to take ownership of our life, it's how you unlock the extraordinary. Okay. We do unfortunately live in a life where a lot of people want to push blame. We have a big culture of victimhood, and I hate using that word victimhood, but when we talk about it in the workplace, two people will argue among themselves, and then one person will end up being the wrong person, and one person will be the will be the person who done all the wrong. And ideally, exactly what happened there was two people clashed, but people don't want to take ownership sometimes for their actions. Don't want to take ownership for who they are and what they are. So to find your purpose, you must decide what's truly right. And you got to know that in your heart and your soul. You must not let yourself be driven by fear or anxiety. And a decision made from fear is always the wrong decision, folks. It will not help you understand yourself. It'll not help you understand what your purpose is, but instead it'll confuse that issue even more. And to truly take ownership, you must stop playing the victim. Okay. And I mean that in the strongest sense. It's one of the biggest things that I hate when I work in the business and corporate environment and I go out and everybody is a victim. Okay. And I'm not talking because we're in Northern Ireland, I'm not talking on not confusing it with victimhood and what we understand from the Troubles, but I mean in terms of taking ownership for stuff. How many people hide behind emails? Many people hide behind telephone calls and text messages or meetings where they'll not take accountability, and realize that every circumstance in your life is a result of your own decisions, not anyone else's. Okay, when you take responsibility for finding your purpose instead of blaming others as to where you're at, fulfillment starts to follow. Think about what brings you joy. Look back in your life and identify the times when you felt the most joy. I read Bernie Eccleston's book about 8 years ago. It was a great piece because I was thought, do you know what? An incredible person, power, opportunity. Dare I say it? If you follow Formula One, Bernie's had a lot of young, good-looking wives over the years as well. Bernie Eccleston's had everything. You read his book, Bernie Eccleston can only remember the last time he was joyful when he was dating a young girl from Scotland at the age of 15. It's the last time he identified experiencing true joy, but yet has more power than most people alive when he was at his pinnacle. Power over governments, money coming out of his ears. But he could never identify what brought himself joy. Getting an ice cream with a young girl from Strathclyde at the age of 15 and starting dating at a very young age was the only time he could recall remembering joy. So get into that routine of identifying what brings you joy. Because for me, if it's making a good home, if it's creating things to help other people, if it's doing things for other people, for me, what happens is when you discover what brings you joy, you'll usually discover where your passion in life lies. And it's where I started to make this connection, folks, between passion and purpose. If you're in a job that you walk into every day and there's no passion in it, there's no energy in it, I can guarantee imposter syndrome will come in. It'll just kick the doors in, and within months, you'll find yourself unease, anxious, and imposter syndrome will start to work in. What you do in life you have to find passion somewhere in what you do in life. And where you find passion is where you start to find that journey of working towards your purpose. Sometimes a lot of people will tell me early doors that they usually go down the route where their passion lies. Okay, what brings them joy? What brings them fulfillment? And it's like lifting. Remember that old Baloo the Bear song? If you look under the rocks and plants. Okay, I always talk about looking under the rocks and plants to see where your joy lies. Is it hiding? Okay, is it insight, or are you like a Bernie Eccleston that you've went through big parts of your life and actually you can't remember the last time you experienced joy, and you have to do a lot of searching. But think about what brings you joy, and where you find joy, you'll find passion. And where you start to find passion in life, your purpose, it's like magnetism, okay? Your purpose is drawn sometimes towards the things in life where you find passion. Create a life vision statement. How many of us, I'm sure, work in organizations where we've got a vision? Sure, business and the community have a vision statement. You open up their end of year report, Shannon, and in it you'll find their vision and mission. How many of us have our own life vision statement? Yeah, before you can ask yourself, what is my purpose? You first have to know what an ideal world looks like and how you fit into it. So creating a life vision statement involves identifying what life would look like if everyone were living up to their fullest potential. Okay. This will help you develop what I call a roadmap to guide you in the direction in which you need to go. We talk about true needs as well. And when asking people what is the purpose in life, some people don't even know where to start. And if you fall into this category, it helps maybe at this stage to examine what I call the 6 human needs. Okay. What is your 6 top needs? It might be certainty. almost might be significance, it might be love, it might be connection, it might be contribution, it might be growth. What is the 6 needs that you have in your life? Because lack of awareness about your own needs can leave you with a false sense of purpose. Okay, can lead to imposter syndrome. And what you want is one that is actually based on your expectations of you, not on the expectations of others. And this is why you can reach the top of a career ladder, where you can find the perfect partner, or be in the best shape of your life, but still not feel happy. Fulfillment becomes and begins for me with your innermost needs. Finally, the last couple for me is acceptance is your friend. We talked about acceptance. Part of finding your purpose is accepting your own limitations. Okay. Gotta understand and accept your own limitations. There's loads of things in life I would love to do, but they're beyond my purpose. They're beyond my reach. They're beyond my limitation, my gift. And instead of getting frustrated with yourself, give yourself a break. Get to know yourself a bit each day. Okay. Take on that little role as an observer. Look at how you react to things. Look at the tasks that you're asked to do each day and see what way you approach those tasks. What are actually the tasks that you enjoy doing? What are things in life that bring you joy? This is like, for me, this is one of the most important things to find in your purpose. Is you've got to be open to your purpose finding you. Okay, this is incredibly important, folks. Is that a lot of people always say to me, "I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm trying to find it here. I'm trying to get it there. I thought it was this. I thought it was that." I go, "Well, how much time in your day are you taking to observe yourself, to analyze yourself, reflect on the things you're doing? How many of us are just rushing through life?" It's where mindfulness is really important. If anybody does mindfulness practitioner, or works with people doing mindfulness is that really important step in this, where acceptance is a big part of mindfulness. Okay, accepting your thoughts. But it's important here because part of mindfulness is to play the role of the observer. You're looking at your thoughts, but spend time looking at yourself. Be compassionate about the things that might let you down or might be disorientating your life. Maybe things that are causing yourself frustration. But what is my purpose began from a place of uncertainty. That question. Okay. And that question then creates the opportunity to dig deep and find that greater meaning. And that can only be done through acceptance and providing that or playing that role of the observer in your life. Okay. Being prepared to sit and watch your mind, your actions, the way in which you work with different people. Because the last part of it is finding a community. This was really important for me, folks, in my own journey. It's actually something that you don't, when you go to books and things to look at purpose in life, and there's loads of stuff that you can go and read and self-help guides that talk about different ways to essentially find your purpose in life. This is one that you'll not often stumble across. I call it finding your community. And what I mean by that is finding your purpose in life is often about discovering where you fit in. Okay. When we meet our people, we feel like we're home. We feel like we're relaxed and at ease, able to be truly ourselves. Okay. Your community can often help you discover how to find your purpose or live to your purpose and help you find it. I often call them mentors in life as well, because finding your purpose in life can be a messy, it can be a tiring, it can be an emotional, and indeed it can throw you down a lot of blind alleys and you get frustrated. There is no nice, easy process to finding your purpose in life. So finding a community, finding people who help you get up each day and work towards that purpose. That could be your partner and your family, and blessed that I hope it is. But it often isn't, because in families and tight communities, everybody has their own purpose. And we're all trying to push and go in different directions. Finding a community of people who help you follow your passion, to help support you, to enhance you, to help you reflect, to constructively criticize you when you stray off the direction in which you need to be going. People who can be open to have conversations with you and understand you at that deeper level as you're going through that process is really, really important. It could be people in work. It could be people that you've yet to meet. It could be an organization that you join in the future. But in that, when we talk about finding your purpose, once you've locked onto that journey, always work towards a community of people. Develop a community of people around you who can help empower you, understand that journey. You can talk to, be open about, and you don't need to hide it. That's one of the wonderful things I say to people. If you want to go on that journey and you want somebody who can be a critical friend, give me a shout. Because the worst thing you can do is when you're starting to look for your purpose in life is to feel nervy and worried about talking about that journey, because that's where imposter syndrome comes in. Think about what we've learned over the last number of weeks. You want people who you can be open and honest when you fail and it doesn't go so well, or you're having an off day with it. People then who you can be very open and honest with. I was going to finish just on this little slide with you today. I know there's some other things, and I'll send them through to Shannon, folks, for you to have. There's a couple of slides that we will probably not just get time to get through today. More around values, but I can send you some of that stuff over. What does the process look like? So all of that put together, Ed, is there because people like a little bit of certainty, or like to be able to identify with certain areas as you go through this journey of finding your purpose. And when you first begin to dive into your thoughts and your desires, there will be initial resistance, like a pervading fear of the unknown. And the first what I call the first inner dragon that you might face will likely be your internal beliefs. Okay, go back to that limiting beliefs. And they might try to stop you in your tracks or tell you that you're crazy for trying to find your purpose in the first place. Sure, look how I've managed to manage all my life. Look at how good your body looks. Look how your home and your garden and your kids are at private school and all the rest. All those, that part of your brain. Some people might call it the ego. Shannon knows that's a whole other it's a whole other course in its own right. But the ego will step in here and try to fight back. Okay. Might say harsh things like, listen, you don't deserve to have a purpose. Or listen, your purpose is this, your purpose is that. You'll never find what you're looking for. That inner dialogue is where most people fail at the first hurdle of finding their purpose. Do I still experience it? Of course I do. It's a natural part of the way in which our conscious and subconscious brain work, either for us or against us. And to combat this inner dialogue, you must first realize that it's happening. Okay, I often smile at that bit because once you realize it's happening, that disempowers about 90% of it. Okay, when it just happens and you don't realize it's happening, you get caught in a storm, then you get swept away. Okay. If you know you're walking into a storm, you can be prepared for it. And you know you'll come out the other end. But when you don't know you're going into a storm and it's on top of you, then you get blown away. And when you start to actually pay attention to your thoughts as they're spiraling out of control, they lose power. They get their power by operating below the surface. So when you shine a spotlight of awareness upon them, they lose control over you. And once you're familiar with these inner dragons, then it's easier to slay them, folks. And next, then you'll have to start taking action to correct this inner dialogue. Okay. Some people call it realigning your thoughts. Some people call it labeling or relabeling. If people do mindfulness, you hear that word relabeling your thoughts. So once you identify these dragons, the way in which you slay them is to create new positive dialogue around those thoughts. Try this one for size. When you've come across a belief that is threatening to stop your journey, take a breath, look at it square in the eye, and then act anyway. Okay, do what you're set out to do. It's the best thing. That's why I talked about the emotional side. This is why it's so important, is to recognize that journey that we talked about last week, the 4 circles, is the best way to face inner dialogue, negative inner dialogue, is to listen to it, square up, and do the thing that you come to do anyway. I used to hate heights, okay? And whenever I first started cliff jumping, I asked the guy what I do, and he says, just jump anyway. Listen, best bit of advice. You learn things from people all over the place. And actually it was so important because when you come to looking at your inner dialogue, that negative inner voice, take a breath, look at it square in the eye, and then do what you come to do anyway. And this will teach you to develop what I call your courage muscle. And this is heart-centered courage. It's a strong inner confidence, which will give you something to lean on throughout this uncertain quest. And folks, it'll ultimately help you improve your mental health as well. You got to discover what you're most passionate about. Everybody is passionate about something in life. Okay, so second part is, what are you passionate about? You've heard me talk about this already. This isn't hard to do at all. It isn't hard to do at all. You just have to notice the things that you always look forward to. For example, if you're always excited about the annual family trip, your passion could be traveling or your relationship with your family. Okay, pay attention to figuring out what you're passionate about and things. We lose passion in life. What I always say to people, you never lose what you're passionate about, just life takes over. And the thing that you're passionate about becomes a back burner. So actually, if you spend a little bit of time, it's not hard to work out what you're passionate about. What do you want to be most passionate about then? You may have a number of passions in your life. And regardless, there's always something that you wish you could spend more time doing. So think about it. Think about the things that you want to be more eager about. Your life's purpose. Go back to Baloo looking onto the rocks and plants. Your life's purpose is hidden somewhere in these things. Then we have the great dig. So now you get ready to dive deep. Keep in mind that you're going to analyze some common threads in your life. You're going to look at deep desires you currently have. And to give you what I call, you think about of a boxer here. This gives you this 1-2 punch. Okay, right, left. Anybody does boxer size, you always throw your left jab and then your right hook. Okay, the great dig is about this 2-punch combination of how to find your purpose in life. Okay, so your jab fist, if you're lefty, southpaw, your jab fist, what's that? Well, it's the soul barring questions. Okay, if you had all the money in the world, I always says, how do you unlock these soul barring questions? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? What would your perfect day look like, Shauna? Describe it in every detail. Mightn't be listening to me, it might be doing something else, I can imagine. But what activities set your soul on fire? Don't be afraid to dive deep with these questions, okay? And there'll be loads of them. That's why I call them your jabs, because you watch a boxer will throw loads and loads of jabs, or should do anyway. So make sure you create some space to ponder these questions. Nothing's too outlandish, folks. Do your best to turn off your mental filter, them limiting beliefs. The best answers you'll come up with when you turn off your self-judgment, okay, will be life-changing. To actually see them on paper. Once you have these answers in your hand, what we're going to do is take a little stroll back into your memory to dig up some more answers and learn how to find purpose in life. And when I would say is when you're a child, your life experience is more free and playful. You're alive. Your whims tend to direct your life, and you're more plugged into what I call that deeper current. And this stage in your life, the outside world hasn't shaped your dreams yet. It's a great place to be. It's why at the age of 40, I still love working with young people. I learned so much about them because they have direct access to their passions and indeed their purpose. We all had things we loved to do as kids, but ended up giving them up for the sake of practicality. That old hateful word of practicality. And what we're going to do here is to take a stroll through our memory banks and try to gain some glimpses of our childhood wisdom. And in the second part, the big hammer blow that comes in with a boxer here is connecting with your inner child. Okay, you only do this once. This is the big blow in finding your purpose. What brought you immense joy as a kid? What were you going to do when you lost track of time? What did your parents have to drag you away from? What did you love deep down before the world told you to get practical? I always wanted to be a teacher. I told Shannon one day we're talking about this. I always wanted to be a teacher. That was my passion in life, and I've ended up coming back to doing my passion. It took me 20 plus years to go around the houses to ultimately come back to what I always wanted to be as a child, was a teacher. So I've been through this journey just like yourselves. So keep your mind open. Okay, always be aware of those limiting beliefs, the negativity, that inner dialogue as you go through this process. Okay. Then we've got to weave the golden thread. Okay, now that you've pulled yourself away from social media long enough to brave the depths of your thoughts that are real, you're ready to do the hard work of learning how to find your purpose in life and define your purpose. The last stretch of the journey is to string all of this bits of randomness together and find some common themes. Okay, your job is to take a hard look at the answers to see if you can pull these common ideas maybe across your jab fist and the inner child, the big right hook. Okay, maybe you wanted to become a writer since you were a child, and committing words to a page every day really sets your soul on fire. There's a good chance that writing may be involved in your life's purpose. Maybe you've always been fascinated by the stars, the cosmos. You've always had a deep connection to spend time outdoors. You could maybe combine these into an excursion where you lead groups of people into the wild to stargaze, contemplate their place in the universe. Let me hear it. I can hear everybody saying it. Martin, Gemma, Kesh, everybody going, I know Ed, but how do I make money out of that? How do I pay my mortgage? Realist, of course. There's the limiting beliefs. So now you get to see how this pulls together. You'll see whenever you hit your purpose, watch, do you see the inner dialogue and everything else pulling you back away from it. And if you've done the work, then you're half the way here to finding your life's purpose. When it's there, you'll feel it deep down in your gut, your bones. I often say to people, you make a mistake, usually it's with your brain. You never make a mistake with your gut. We always say, trust your gut. How many of us went against our gut instinct and then come back and say to ourselves, I wish I trusted my gut? How many of us can honestly say we have had a gut instinct and you went with your brain and went, do you know what? I'm glad I overrid my gut and went with my brain. It's not a very common saying. So when you find it, you'll feel it. Okay. You then develop a crystal clear vision. So again, that's that life vision, that life statement. Define your true priorities. Give yourself a clear goal about your life's desires and what you're working towards and how you're going to do that. We go back to the stargazer and taking trips up the mountain. I have an ex-brother-in-law. He's 50 this year, and he takes people out canoeing at night time and looks at I couldn't really explain what he does, but whenever I went through this process with me, he kept saying, but Ed, how am I going to afford to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? And this is where the bit comes in. It's not about ignoring that inner dialogue. It's about working a plan around that inner dialogue. Okay. Don't let that inner dialogue hold you back. Of course, you got to pay your bills. Of course, you got to make money. Of course, you got to keep your kids. But that's where the developing a crystal clear vision of your life's desire. How are you going to make it happen? There's not one day I don't think about panic and doing what I do now and go, do you know what? Jeez, bills are mounting up a wee bit, Ed. Need to get some work in. Yeah. Okay. So that's part of developing that vision. It's part of developing that plan. Okay. Create a plan to achieve your vision. Okay. Create a plan that's going to help you deliver and achieve your vision. Some people might use SMART. Okay. Okay. And in that, it's very good. You can use SMART to help define your true priorities and eliminate those false objectives. SMART's a great process for focusing on the priorities and getting rid of all of the things that are pulling you away. And importantly, the last part of this is figuring out what drains you. Your drain and your void, that's where imposter syndrome comes in. You need to think about the things that exhaust you mentally or physically. They don't have to be activities or tasks that you dislike, but once you can point to these tasks, it's time to do something about them. Consider delegating things out, eliminating them from your to-do list. Tiredness is a clear sign, folks, that your mind, body, soul, that the activity is not good for you. It's not you living to your true purpose. It's important to run your race, live your life, focus on what matters to you, and build your life vision around this. The bottom line is learning to find your purpose in life is a lifelong journey. It's not going to arrive in a heartbeat. But once your purpose has been discovered, to find that your life is open and it'll open itself up to ways that you never thought was possible. 4 years ago, when I left my job to start out in this journey, I was worried about how I was going to pay for my kids. One plays ice hockey and all sorts of stuff, and I have 2 step boys and remarried. And I was like, how am I going to do all this? I always talk to Shannon. See, when you're working towards your life purpose, Mother Earth, God, whatever it is that you believe in, finds a way of pushing the stuff towards. When you're not living your purpose, life's very, very difficult. It's very hard. It's thwart. You never have enough of anything. Abundance never appears. When you're working to your purpose, when you're on that journey, things that you need to keep you on that journey will always arrive to you at the right time. Anybody who watches Harry Potter, I often said, you learn all wee things as you go through life. It's great. Anybody, if you've watched Harry Potter, you've heard of the Sword of Gryffindor. And the Sword of Gryffindor only appears when people are in need. You can never find it. You can never touch it. And you'll never see it until you need it. And when you need it, you're on that journey. Okay? You'll only need it when you're on the journey. So I always said the bottom line is once you get onto that journey of life, don't worry about money. Don't worry about all the things, that limiting belief. Because actually, once you're on your purpose, your true purpose in life, the things that you need are already there. They're already on that journey with you. They'll present them to you at the time in which you need them the most. And that sometimes creates a great deal of fear and anxiety because you don't know what the journey is going to be like. But importantly, what happens as you start that journey and as you progress along it, your core confidence, who you are, and what you're not, becomes really, really clear. Becomes very, very clear to you. You'll experience new depths of opportunity and your eyes will be open to all possibilities around you. So finding your purpose is all about turning towards that journey and jumping in with both feet, with a good plan and going through that process. And the last slide I want to finish with is this, if I can. I don't know whether I've asked you about the bottle of water. There's something, a big part of how we eliminate, and I'll give me 2 minutes here, folks, I'll finish this with you. The key thing for me in life was knowing your worth, okay? And this ultimately is what stops imposter syndrome in its tracks. I was talking about the little bottle of water. You go into the supermarket today and you buy a little single bottle of water for about 20 pence. You then take that bottle of water and Kesh and I maybe go down to the Crown Bar this weekend. Kesh will say, Ed, what are you having to drink? Of course, I would ask for a pint of Guinness, Kesh, but at this stage, we're going to ask for a bottle of water. Kesh will end up maybe paying a couple of pounds for that little bottle of water. And then Sean is going to say, Ed, you know what? I've enjoyed this course so much, I'm going to take you away on holiday next year. And as we're going away on holiday, I says to Sean, any chance of a bottle of water? Because I'm greedy. Not only is she paying for my holiday, I'm going to make her buy a bottle of water for me as well. And that little bottle of water is now worth about £3.50. And the one thing I always say to people that's really exciting about life, and I've come through it like everybody else. Part of finding, once you find your purpose, you find your worth. Okay. Shannon and I we'll talk about when Shannon come and asked me about doing this course many times, long time ago, and doing other things. Ed, how much do you charge? I says, Shannon, it's not about money. It's about worth. It's about worth. I says, my worth is in what I deliver. It's not in money. I says, because money will come. If you need money when you're living to your purpose, the money will find you. But finding your worth is incredibly empowering. It stops imposter syndrome, because once you know your purpose, you know your worth. Like this little bottle of water, we're all the same. We go to jobs, we go to things, our limiting beliefs define what we're worth. But actually, we're worth much more. But the environment in which we're prepared to accept, the limiting beliefs that we put in place, and more importantly, the limiting beliefs that other people put on us. Okay, we allow that to happen. Okay, go back to the victimhood. People say, oh, well, that happened to me because, no, it happened to you because you allowed it to happen. Okay, it may have been your limiting beliefs that made you surrender to being the Aldi bottle of water. But let me rest assured you, each one of you lovely people on here today is the airport water. We're still the same inside. That little bottle of water that left Aldi never changed. Still had the same contents inside it. It was just the environment. It was the environment that changed, and the beliefs that people placed on that bottle of water, i.e., what they were prepared to pay for it, changed. But the bottle of water didn't, and we don't change. Okay, our worth lies inside us, alongside our purpose. Once you find your purpose, your worth in life becomes crystal clear. As I said, folks, I'd love to, just out of time and things like that, I'll share you a little bit on values. I'll send you that across. Values is more important once we then start to live to our purpose and know our worth. They're the directional chains, or the things that we get up each day and we live to, i.e. that, some people may have different values, different beliefs, but importantly, they're the things that, like a little stepping stones, that help us to ensure that we stay on track with our purpose and indeed our worth. But I hope today you've taken those two really incredibly powerful things in terms of stopping imposter syndrome in its tracks. Understand imposter syndrome for what it is. Understand how it got there into your life. Okay, understand you may have different variations of imposter syndrome, because again, you can be very smart and intelligent and have imposter syndrome the same way as somebody who maybe hasn't had that academic education doing similar jobs. But both people can have imposter syndrome depending on how they have come at things. How do we get around it? We talked about the emotional side of things last week. How understand ourselves at an emotional level, seeing it for what it is. And then today, importantly for me, is what's the best steps that we can take? Well, for me, is that purpose in life, because once you're on that journey of purpose, and it is messy. I have to tell people it's lovely once you get on it. It is messy, because that's what's supposed to be. It is challenging sometimes, and the brain will try and push you back to where it believes you should be. The deeper you then knows where its purpose is. And importantly, always think about your worth, because once you find your purpose, you find your worth. And that might mean changing where you're at and going to a place where your worth is valued. Never, ever, ever underestimate your worth. because once you underestimate your worth, again, it's an open door for imposter syndrome to come in, because you know that you're worth much, much more. Listen, thank you so much for staying with us on this 4-week program. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I know, Kesh, there's some stuff I want to come back to you on, sir. And anybody else who wants to come through or needs help with anything, please don't stay a silent voice. I know I'm sure Shannon's here to help, but if you need to get in contact with me, please do that. I really enjoy being able to help people with this type of journey in life as well, folks. So thank you ever so much.
Oh, Edward, on behalf of everyone and myself, thank you so much. Honestly, it's been so eye-opening. I thought the last time I wouldn't get more inspired, but I did. And I love that analogy on the water. Oh, just class. So thank you so much. Sometimes you are actually lost for words after your webinars. I think it's because you're taking so much in. You have some lovely comments there as well, Edward, which just really, really proves how insightful and amazing your webinars are, honestly. I'm
gonna stop you right there, Shannon, too, folks. I am no more knowledgeable than anybody else. As I said at the start of this, I had to learn all of this stuff from my own journey. So everything I've been able to talk to you about is an accumulation of what already exists in the world. Good people who've written stuff on things and helped me, but I've always had a thing in life where I try to make complex simple. I'm a working class lad, so my little bit in life has always been, how do I break that down that it helps inspire other people to go on the same journey I had. But I am no more any expert in this than the people who are way ahead in their fields. But I hope that breaking it down ever so slightly helps you grab it the same way as it helped grab me. Sorry, Shannon, just for that interruption, but it's important.
You have to say you're very helpful. But I'm just going to stop the recording now. So if anyone does have any